I'm Lisa Davis, Police Chief here in Austin. I am joined by my executive staff here, the Office of Police Oversight, ACM, Assistant City Manager Eddie Garcia, as well as Brian Jones, from Police Chief of Bee Cave. All right, so we're here today to talk about a police-involved shooting with Zachary Labrie, a male, 27 years old. This incident started in Bee Cave, and so when we start going through this process, we want to take you guys through a timeline of this. So Brian's going to open it up with the interaction they had with Zachary and Bee Cave. But I do want to start by saying that my condolences to Zachary's family. He was someone's son, and he was loved, and our condolences to them. All right.
Thank you, Chief. My name is Brian Jones. I'm the Chief of Police for the Bee Cave Police Department. On November 7th at approximately 3:11 a.m., Bee Cave police officer was on patrol in the 12400 block of Highway 71 in Bee Cave. At that time, he was able to observe a vehicle traveling westbound at what he determined to be a high rate of speed and was driving somewhat erratically. He was able to turn on his in-car dash radar and was able to clock the vehicle going 67 miles per hour in a 50 mile per hour zone. That officer then initiated a traffic stop at the 12400 block of Highway 71. At that point, the vehicle continued to swerve slightly between the westbound lanes, and came to an abrupt stop near the intersection of Highway 71 and 620. At that point, the officer exited his vehicle to make the approach on the suspect vehicle. The suspect vehicle then immediately took off and evaded the scene, going north on Highway 620. At that point, the suspect began driving at an extremely high rate of speed. The Bee Cave officer approximated the suspect speed to be about 90 miles per hour at that time, and was driving northbound in the southbound lanes of 620. He then called a pursuit and said that the suspect vehicle was evading detention and was driving erratically all over the road. The pursuit continued through the city of Bee Cave and into the city of Lakeway, and the entire time the suspect vehicle was driving northbound in the southbound lanes. Once they exited the city of Lakeway, it continued north on 620 to the Mansfield Dam. Travis County Sheriff's Office deputies were staged north of the pursuit to join in. But at that point, once the pursuit went across the Mansfield Dam, it was obvious that the suspect was not going to stop, and my officer at that time was all by himself, so he decided to terminate the pursuit out of an abundance of caution. At that time, the Travis County Sheriff's Office deputy and my officer searched for the vehicle in case the suspect decided to ditch the vehicle, but were unable to locate the vehicle. After that pursuit was over, my officer did research on the license plate and was able to contact the registered owner of the plate, registered owner of the vehicle, who stated that it was his son, Zachary Labrie, that was driving the vehicle, and that he had just gotten off the phone with him, and his son had told him that he had been involved in a police pursuit, that he was armed, and he had made some suicidal statements to his father. So at that point, we kept searching for the vehicle, and ultimately we received information that Mr. Labrie, Zachary Labrie, was possibly in the area of 620 and 2222 in Austin. So we turned that information over to APD so they could continue the investigation.
Do we have the video?
So the audio from the pursuit is not available because the officer's microphone was not synced. It became unsynced previous to this call for some unknown reason. So basically, at this point, the Bee Cave officer, at this point, he's in the city of Lakeway. He's already chased him through Bee Cave into Lakeway, but as you can see, the suspect vehicle is driving on the wrong side of the road. Even if he tried to get back, throughout the city of Lakeway on Highway 620, they have concrete medians all throughout the city. So at this point, the suspect is somewhat, he's stuck on the wrong side of the road. Now they're through the city of Lakeway into Travis County.
Okay. All right, so if you could bring back the map, Rudy, to show, so we do that for the timeline, and this map here, if you go to number 2, so after evading Bee Cave, he then goes to the house of an ex-girlfriend, where he's seen on the Ring door cam kicking in her door. Now he has a history with her of some family violence that included some strangulation that he perpetrated against her. So you're going to see this Ring door cam. She was not home at the time. She was actually out of town out of fear that she had. So it was a very good thing that she was not home. So if we can show that Ring door cam. All right, thank you, Rudy. If we get the map back up. And again, you will all be receiving this. Okay, from there he goes to the Starbucks at 4 Points, and he carjacks a car from a woman who's waiting to go into work at Starbucks. From Starbucks, he goes to the H-E-B, also at 4 Points, goes into the H-E-B, purchases a t-shirt, changes the shirt, comes back out and carjacks another car. At that point, and again, the officers at this point know who he is just based off of the work done by Bee Cave and pinging his phone, so they're able to figure out where he is, and pinging that phone gives a geographical location. And so within that location was the ex-girlfriend's apartment complex. So our officers, APD officers, decided to go check out that apartment complex to see if that's where the subject was. And that is exactly where they found him. So you're going to see a video of the body-worn cameras from the officers. Once they get there, they go to the back of his car, recognizing the car that was carjacked, a Nissan Rogue. They kind of block that car in. They see him coming back out of the apartment. At this point, he's going back into that apartment and out. So at that point is when the officers engage with him. So we're going to show that video now. Okay, so now we're going to see the video slowed down. Oh, the first. The original? Okay, got it. We'll see the original. There we go. So that was a second view of a second officer's body-worn camera. So we're going to slow this one down so you guys can see. So here you can see he's pulling out the gun. That's a gun in his hand. You can see the weapon. He then turns and points at the officers. Points the weapon again. And then for the fourth time. Was that it as far as the videos? Some still shots? Yeah. So again, there's the, Rudy, if you can kind of circle around, there's the weapon in his hand there. Okay, go to the next one. Okay. All right, thank you, Rudy. Thank you for that. So I think it's clear, from the video, again, this is an investigation that, occurred last week, and so it is, we can say it is preliminary. There is still more going on into this investigation. But when you're looking at a situation where officers have a gun pointed at them, there are decisions that they have to make about their lives and the lives of others. And I think those are things that we have to think about. Did you want to come up here? And Brian and I can take a few questions from you if you have those.
So we looked into the subject's criminal history and saw that because of previous crimes, including convictions, parole and release conditions said that he wasn't supposed to even be in possession of any firearms.
Yeah.
What do you have to say to that, given that in this case he did fire a gun at your office?
Right, and I think he did have an ankle monitor on that he cut off during, I believe, sometime from the period of the pursuit to the time he showed up at the girlfriend's house. He did remove that. Those are issues, and it is certainly, we live in a society where we're hopeful that when the courts get involved that we're going to remain safe as a public, right? So to have a violation like that, it is concerning. And I think that's us just working better with probation and parole, how we are tracking people that are violent, those offenders. So I think that's all part of this whole process and how we get better at that.
At two separate occasions, we had seen him with a handgun and a rifle. Were both of those firearms confiscated, and were they licensed in his name?
I'm not sure if they were licensed in his name, but we have both of those weapons
Are those the only two weapons that he was armed with?
that we found in, yes.
To be clear, he did fire a shot at officers?
He did not fire a shot. The shotgun was loaded, the firearm was unloaded.
On Thursday, you had a press conference, and you said that you were going to have an update within 24 hours. And then we got an email that the press conference was going to be yesterday. And then I reached out to your office asking why the delay, and I never received a response.
Okay.
So can you tell me why the delay?
Sure, Meredith, let me tell you. So this is the thing, I could have had that press conference that next day, but what you would have seen was a map. That's all you would have seen. So I think in the spirit of transparency, it is better to have more to give. And so to come in front of a group of people with no video and just saying this is what happened, it just was not being accountable, and it wasn't being transparent. So again, I think as we're moving forward and we're trying a new process of how we get information out quickly, but still in a way that is fair to the officers, is fair to everyone. It gives them more time. So I think that's what everybody wants, is a good process. And so again, as my second officer-involved shooting here in the 7 weeks I've been here, I think it is a process that is moving fairly well, and PIO did a fantastic job of getting these things ready. But again, we want to deliver something that you guys can report on that is really giving an accurate picture of what happened.
Why could your PIO office not just say that yesterday? The reasoning why it was delayed?
Because I wanted to say that to you today.
Chief, do we know how many officers fired at Zachary, and do we know how many shots were fired?
I don't have that information. I don't know if, Yeah, we can get that. We'll release that information, but I don't have that right now.
On a protocol basis, we see Zachary on the floor and shots are still being fired at him when he's on the floor. How does that work? Still continuing to fire?
Yeah, so anytime that you're looking, our training is to stop a threat, right? And so you can see him coming back up with the weapon at that point. You're talking, you're seeing it, but this is in seconds, right? That this is all occurring. So this is someone who's still coming up off the ground and still pointing that weapon at the officers. And so that's why the officers continue to fire.
When can we expect the officers' names to be released?
I don't know, these officers are in an undercover capacity, so we're checking with legal and seeing how that's going to come out. And then, I'm sorry, I did forget to mention that city legal, Ben Phillips is here. My apologies, Ben.
This might be a dumb clarification question, I just wanna make sure I have this exactly right. The ex-girlfriend did live at the,
She did.
That was that, okay, and
She
then
did.
back there.
Yes.
After that, okay.
Yes.
Was the family of Zachary cooperative in the investigation, or has he been cooperative? The father, I know you were in touch with him.
Did you want to talk?
When
Will you
the
talk to him?
pursuit was happening, has he been cooperative? What kind of information has he given you? I know that Zachary was making suicidal claims at the time.
Right, so at the time of our involvement with Zachary, shortly after the pursuit, of our involvement with his father, it was our intent to, one, identify the suspect. We didn't know, and we also didn't know if the vehicle had been freshly stolen and had gone unreported. It just so happened that when we were able to make contact with the registered owner, it just happened to be the suspect's father, Mr. LaBrie's father, who was immediately cooperative and was concerned for the safety of his
Yeah.
son, as were we. When somebody is armed and has made suicidal threats to family members and has shown the intention of fleeing a traffic stop, fleeing police, then we are concerned for their safety and other people's safety. So at that point, we continued to, Bee Cave Police continued to investigate possibly where he may be and to get more information with his father. The entire time that we were looking for him, we were in contact with his father. His father was calling us with any updates that he might have, and his father was also very concerned for the safety of his son. And so we continued to stay in contact with him. Once our involvement was pretty much concluded and APD took over the investigation, we instructed his father to contact APD with any further information that he might have.
Was any of that information passed along from your officers to APD about the suicidal thoughts?
Yes.
Can you tell us anything about the victims of the carjackings? Are they okay?
I think they're fine. I think they both worked at the locations. One was a Starbucks worker, and the other gentleman was a subcontractor for HEB delivering, I think, produce. So yeah, just totally shaken up and scared. This was early in the morning. The girl was sitting in her car waiting to go open the coffee shop. So these are things that a relatively safe area that you're not expecting those type of things to happen there, and so absolutely shaken for sure.
Is there a reason why a shelter in place wasn't instilled in the neighborhood, especially in the apartment complex? We know that there were bystanders there probably starting their way on their way to work in their cars.
Yeah, so you got to take in fact, we didn't know anything about this Ring door cam until after the fact. So that's why. Had we got there and knew that was happening, of course we would have done that. But that came to light afterward. We didn't know anything about that. This was shared by the female who lived at that residence. So we're just coming. Officers are thinking we know his phone is pinging, and so they did a fantastic job of just thinking let's good old-fashioned police work. Let's go see if he's back up here, if this is where he is, and sure enough that's where he was. So again, you're talking a matter of just seconds at that point.
Once shots were fired and the suspect was down, did officers render aid? Is it required to render aid?
Yeah, once officers go up and check the status, of course, if there is a pulse, aid is rendered. Absolutely.
Was that the case here?
I didn't see the final video here. I haven't looked at that yet, but I have no doubt that the officers rendered aid here.
Thanks so much, guys.
They did. They rendered aid. It's on the video. Yes, thank you. Thanks, everyone.